Hey fellas, so been hunting around looking for the charger for the battery for the camera, and I haven't found it. Thankfully, there's still charge left in the battery, fair amount by the looks of it. Hopefully, it'll hold for the video, right? And I'm going nuts because last video you could see I had the laptop sitting on top of the printer, and the charger was on top of that, and I'm going batty trying to figure out what I did with the charger after I moved the laptop. I mean, I've looked all over this area and I haven't found it. It's not on the floor. It's not behind the baseboard heater. It's not underneath these piles of papers and cards. I don't know what I did with it. And I'm gonna probably find it in the weirdest place. I swear. I'm gonna find it like sitting in the bathroom somewhere or something. I don't know. I seriously don't. So anyway, drafted last week. We had weird stuff going on with draft last week. First draft, I always go in the house draft. Sanctioned draft, there was Innistrad going on, but Shopkeep didn't really know if he had enough to handle it. So for house draft, we decided to go with 2 M12 boosters and a Zendikar booster. All well and good, right? It was interesting. Had some funk going on. Ended up going red, white, and blue. I wasn't trying to go 3 colors. In fact, I was trying to avoid it if I could. I did okay with the deck. It wasn't bad, but there were some matches where I just couldn't win because my mana curve is kind of wonky. I don't have a lot of stuff on the low end of the curve, and that hurt me, especially stuff I could reliably play. I did have a monolith for some mana fixing and a core cartographer, which would pull another planes out of the deck. Plains was actually the least, white mana sources were actually the least represented in my mana base, which is funny because there was one time I played the core cartographer and I had like 4 or 5 land on the board, and I had 3 plains on the board, and I searched my deck for another plains and I didn't have one. I had 3 plains, a Kabira Crossroads, and a monolith for white sources, so I figured I could get by with that, and I did. Unfortunately, I don't know, weird stuff happens, So the deck itself, amongst the white, had a Spirit Mantle, which is just incredibly good for an aura. Aura creature enchantments are generally not considered good cards because if you lose the creature, you've effectively been 2 for 1. You've lost 2 cards to, in theory, one of your opponent's removal spells. What's nice about the Spirit Mantle, though, of course, is that it gives the creature protection from creatures. That's pretty nice. Your dude's effectively unblockable. That's fun stuff. So yeah, I had a Spirit Mantle and Alabaster Mage who grants a creature lifelink. It's nice. The Cartographer, yeah, he's deck thinning. He gives me more sources of white for the Alabaster Mage. He's a 2/2 body. He's alright. Pacifism. Classic control card, goes all the way back to Mirage. What else did I have here? Bell Tower Sphinx and Chasm Drake. Nice, nice. Unsummon, nice little control spell. Works a lot of different ways. Mind Control, in my opinion, Mind Control is superior to most Necrotol effects. Necrotol, for those who don't know, and I know I've mentioned this before, 2 and double black for a 2/1 first striker, that when it hits the board, you nuke target non-black creature. I think it's non-black, non-artifact, but it could just be non-black. I'm pretty sure it's non-black, non-artifact. It dates back to Mirage. It's been reprinted in core sets a few times. Necrotol's a good card. I tend to think of Mind Control as actually being better because, it's the same end effect. Your opponent loses a creature, you gain 1. That's what's so great about control magic effects. They're every bit as efficient as a Necrotol. The problem is, of course, if your opponent's running enchantment removal, which not many people do, especially not in draft, But, you know, if your opponent's running champion removal, yes, he can get his creature back. But overall, a lot of times you'll end up getting a better creature from your opponent than a lot of the things he'll be running, you know? Especially in a deck like this. Yeah. Tearing Peaks. Tearing Peaks was a nice thing to pick up. That was a fun thing to have. Great Sword is also a nice thing to have. I know a lot of people still look down their noses at Great Sword, and I look at it this way. It's every bit as good as a Butcher's Cleaver is in a deck that's not running any humans. And in draft, a 3-point power boost, pretty sweet. And heavens forbid it also sits there and hoses Arachnus Webs. It's like, oh, you put an Arachnus Web on a creature with a power greater than 1 and less than 4? Great Sword, it's gone. It's nice. I did have a fair amount of removal hanging around. I had an Incinerate, Fireball, 2 Inferno Traps, a Fling. For those who don't remember Inferno Trap, it's 3 and a red, it's an instant, deals 4 damage to target creature. If you were dealt damage by 2 or more creatures this turn, you can pay red instead of its casting cost. That's a single red mod, that's not bad. I had Gorehorn Minotaurs, they were nice, along with this here Fire Slinger, yay. I had 2 Shatterskull Giants in here, one was foil, so he got kicked into the prize pool. 2 Bonebreaker Giants, Molten Ravager, he's a 0/4 with fire breathing. He's by and large, he's a functional reprint of, I want to say the card was Storm Shaman from Alliances. Can't remember. Goblin Shortcutter, his comes into playability, was never relevant. Only times I ever played was because it's like, need blocker. Need blocker. Coincidentally, the foil Shatterskull I got back out of the prize pool afterwards. As well as a Redirect, a Call to the Grave, and a Gideon's Avenger. All well and good. Sweep all this aside. My keeper out of this mess when I drafted it was a Verdant Catacombs. That's rather nice. My sideboard, stuff I ended up not using. Core Outfitter, not a bad card if you get a lot of equipment. I didn't. I got 1 piece of equipment, whoop-de-doo. Griffin Rider, great if you have Griffins. I didn't. Pride Guardian, he's basically just a stall card. He's a 0/3 with Defender. He hits the board, you gain 3 life, whoop-de-doo. Mighty Leap, not a bad card. At first I wanted to run it. It ended up getting cut as I was putting the deck together. It happens. A couple of more blue cards. I had Merfolk Mesmerist. He didn't make the cut. Negate and Cancel did not make the cut. I just couldn't justify running that much blue when I had so much red that I really should have been running, you know? Speaking of such, there's a Goblin Warpaint. I want to run it. Didn't. Highland Berserker. No point in running him, really. I mean, I didn't have any other allies. 2 Seismic Shutters. I really thought about running those, but I didn't. Goblin Grenade. Only 2 goblins in the deck. Not worth it. Zombie Goliath. Whoop-de-dee. 2 Arachnus Webs that I ended up effectively stealing from whoever was playing green. You know, it's a good. It's not at all a bad control card, especially in green. Green is not known for being able to run a lot of control stuff. And that was that. Second draft. Yeah, that was all the rares I had in there too. Second draft. Okay, I had a nice deck. I ended up coming in 2nd place with this thing. I went pretty much undefeated. The thing is, of course, is that, you know, how we play best 2 out of 3. Well, rounds 1 and I think it was rounds 1 and 3, I ended up playing 3 games against my opponent instead of 2. So I only swept one of my opponents. So, you know, these things happen. These things happen. As we drafted straight up Innistrad. Excuse me. Looking this thing over, what we're seeing here is 3 Abyssinian Priests, a Bonds of Faith. There's some really nice control going on. I had a Shimmering Grotto for some mana fixing. I'll touch on that again soon. I had a Blazing Torch, nice little creature control card, as well as a Mask of Avacyn and a Inquisitor's Flail. There's some nice stuff going on there. Pair of Voiceless Spirits, pair of Lantern Spirits, Gallows Warden, Abbey Griffin, a lot of flying potential, a Doomed Traveler, more flying potential, Stitcher's Apprentice, 2 Unruly Mobs. You know, there's some nice stuff going on there. Unruly Mobs could get big. Unfortunately, I think the biggest I got one was maybe up to a 3/3, I'm not certain. And I'm pretty sure I did use the Stitcher's Apprentice at least once to sack the Doomed Traveler and end up with a 2/2 and 1/1 flying token creatures. Yay! 2 Moments of Heroism. Those were nice. Those were very nice. Those came in handy. Those came in very handy. What you're not seeing here is I drafted a bunch of rares in this deck. Hold on a second. Let me pull the pick. Go pull it. Okay, what you're not seeing in here. There was a Champion of the Parish in here. He almost never saw play. There was a Divine Reckoning in here. I drew it once out of like 8 games with this deck. Yeah, and even then I didn't play it. There was a Snapcaster in here. You're not seeing him here because he was pulled out for another deck. And he was my keeper. Snapcaster's a nice little card. All well and good. Darn. Another thing you're not seeing in here is an Instigator Gang. I splashed red just for an Instigator Gang. Which is why you see the Shimmering Grotto off to the side there. This deck did really good. Instigator Gang, I swear, almost every single game that I played, he was either in my opening hand or I drew him in short order. And I'm not going to complain because I was usually able to cast him. I was running like 3 mountains, I think, like 3 mountains in addition to the Shimmering Grotto, so Instigator Gang was not an issue. You know, I could cast him reliably. And he won games. He so won games, especially, heaven forbid it, if he could transform. Even if the ground game was locked up. You know, hold on, all my attacking creatures get +3/+0. Yeah, Flyer swings for the fences. Good game. Snapcaster did some fun things for me as well before. Yeah, you know, I Moment to Heroism. Snapcaster, Moment to Heroism again. Kid science, fun stuff. The deck overall it worked out pretty well. What do we got here? I got my sideboard, which is a little bit of a chaotic mess. That's okay. I actually had a lot of red in the sideboard, but it just wasn't worth running any of it except really the the Instigator Gang. I had a Blood Crazed Uni, Ancient Grudge, Traitorous Blood, a Fury of the Bitten, Ridge Wolf, Night Revelers, Geist Flame. When I was putting the deck together, I asked one of the other guys, it's like, you know, I want to splash one of these red cards. I'm looking at either the Geist Flame or the Instigator Gang, and he's like, the Geist Flame. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm leaning towards the Instigator Gang. I went with the Instigator Gang. It was the right choice, I think. I think experience proved that to be the right choice, because Instigator Gang did so much more for me than a Geist Flame would have. Paraslein and a Ghostly Possession in the sideboard, whoop-de-doo. Nothing great there. A Sensory Deprivation, a Frightful Delusion in the sideboard. I couldn't justify running those. Gnaw to the Bone in the sideboard. That's something you get stuck with. Gnaw to the Bone is pretty much a bad card. Unless you have a deck that's designed to draw out the game as long as possible for whatever reason, don't play Gnaw to the Bone. It's a bad card. I had like one black card and Ghoul Caller's Chant. I had 2 One-Eyed Scarecrows. I usually, when I pick those up, it's relatively late in the pack. There's nothing else in the pack. There's nothing in the pack for me. I see those, and I tend to draft flyers heavily, so I'll snap those up just as a defensive measure. A Cellar Door, Geist Catcher's Rig. You know, there was a little bit of impulse to put Geist Catcher's Rig in instead of the The Instigator Gang, I mean, it's a 4/5, hits the board, deals 4 to a flying creature. That's not bad. The problem is that I don't know, I just couldn't justify throwing them in. And once again, turned out to be the right choice. I'm pretty sure this is what I got out of the prize pool for this. There's the Instigator Gang, I got him back. Another Charmbreaker Devils. At least I think I got him out of that prize pool, I can't remember. Kurin Outlaw, nice card. And Heretic's Punishment. Some not bad stuff there. So there's that, right? Saturday, I ended up going down to the shop to play a little bit of Standard. Only one of the guys showed up, Jan, hung out, played a few games. I'm finding that there's the deck I've been trying to run. It's pattern. I used a deck that did pretty well. I believe it was in either Worlds or Pro Tour. I can't remember. I used that as a template. It did well there. It's giving me some problems. I'm thinking what it is I'm having two major issues. Number one is my mana base, which I'm having a hard time trying to tune. And the other issue I'm having with it is that it requires a lot of judgment on the mulligan, because this is a deck that needs a good opening, that really needs a good opening hand. And I'm used to playing draft, so when I draft and I get a hand that's like, you know, card, land. I mean, it's like, yeah, if you're looking at 4 or 5 lands in your opening hand in draft, you generally keep that, because hey, you know what? Yeah, it is a lot of land. You got land flooded in your opening hand, but it's better than the alternative, which is not getting enough land, you know. And you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to cast whatever you draw. So, you know, there's that. But Jan went up to the shopkeeper and he said, "Hey Dave, if we pay entrance fee, can we get, you know, packs and whatnot?" And I don't know how the hell Jan did this, but he talked the shopkeeper into it. Poor Dave. And so we played a couple games, and there were 9 packs. 5 for him and 4 for me. I think he took a combination of Scars of Mirrodin and New Phyrexia. I ended up grabbing 4 packs of Mirrodin Besieged, which I haven't even opened yet. I think I'm going to open them right now. Just show you guys like the rares and uncommons that I pull out of these, because, you know, if you've been watching a lot of my older videos, you know all the commons there. You know, it's a great big pile of whoopsie. Okay. This one had some nice stuff in it. Let's put that one aside. Okay, just checking to make sure the camera's still going. Alright, this one's kind of meh-tastic. Nice, nice. No complaints on this pack. None at all on that one. And you'll see why in a moment. That's alright. Yeah, this is a pretty meh pack. Okay. So here's what we got, fellas. First pack I opened, the rare was a Black Sun Zenith. That's nice. The uncommons, Core Prowler, a Fedalkin Anatomist, a Quarter Paladin. Not bad uncommons, but I have no use for these. I've got pretty much bunches of all of them, especially the Anatomist. I used to draft him highly because he was like a tier 2 bomb in draft. He screwed stuff up good. The second pack, rare, was a Contested Warzone. It's a card that I've found isn't, it didn't live up to the early hype for it, long and short of it. Nested Ghoul, meh. Spiraling Duelist, not good, for the most part. Koldatha Flame Fiend, not bad. What's an example? The fourth pack that I opened, that rare Fraction Rebirth, which isn't bad. Our uncommons ended up being a Gore Vassal, which is not really playable. A Signal Pass, which isn't a bad card. A Leonin Relic Water, all well and good. Now you might know I skipped over the third pack, the one I sat there and says, oh, this is nice, I'm happy with this one. Yeah, that's because on this one, Uncommon, Peace Strider, whoop-de-dee. Piston Sledge, whoop-de-dee. Choking Fumes, who cares? Sword of Feast and Famine. Hello my baby, hello my darling, hello my ragtime gal. That's nice. That's really nice. So, yeah, there's that. Indeed. So I can't really complain on that one. I mean, you know, I spent, I spent fuel to get down there, and, 10 in change for entry fee. Just hang around, played a few games with Jan, tested the deck out a little bit, blah 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 blah, and got 4 booster packs, which, you know, paying $10.63 for that, I believe it was $10.63, to get 4 booster packs, not a bad price, you know. Kind of feel a little bit bad for Dave, the shopkeep, because I think he didn't get his value for it. I mean, it was, you know, but, you know, I will talk up scholars to the heavens, because Dave's really good about this stuff. He really is. Poor guy. He's gonna put himself out of business one day, I swear. Well, hopefully when he does, I'll be on the receiving end of the generosity that puts him out of business, right? Seriously, though, I don't, you know, it's a great shop. If you're in the southeastern New England area, if you know where Bridgewater is, go there, play cards, buy stuff from the place. I'm serious. He's really good to people. And hey, you know, Sword of Feast and Famine. That's an awesome card. What's that? Is that thing? That thing I think that's still going for like 20, 25. It's a nice card. It's really nice. And it's still standard legal. Woohoo! Alright, have a good one, fellas. Be good, be safe, etc., etc. Gonna call my mom later, see if she wants to like go out for dinner tonight, because, you know, it's her birthday and all that fun, happy rot. Alrighty. Hey, you know what? And the battery's still going strong, too. Okay. Later, kids. Be good. Be safe. Emphasis on the whatnot.